Well, welcome all of you to the STEP Centre's annual symposium. Actually not quite annual, we're a little bit late on exactly a year. But it is wonderful, really wonderful, to see such a room full of, frankly, kind of cast of stars in the world of science policy and people who've been making fantastic contributions over the years to the debates that I hope we'll all be engaged in over the next couple of days. I think it's fitting that you're all here now because the theme that we've chosen, that we're looking at, has really reached a kind of poignant conjuncture, and this is why we decided to hold this event. Because on the one hand, scientific advice, as I think we're all seeing, has never really been in greater demand. We're seeing calls everywhere for evidence-based policy making, across issues from environment and climate change, through to food security, through to pandemics and health, through to energy and more. The questions being asked of science and of scientific experts by policymakers and by others, by the media and by publics across the world, continue to multiply and be more important. But at the same time, I think we're seeing science and the idea of scientific evidence and expertise also being perhaps more contested than ever before. And this is partly brought about by and following in the wake of a whole set of controversies, whether those around GM foods or pandemics or ClimateGate and more. In these, we're seeing the authority and the legitimacy of experts of all kinds coming under greater scrutiny, often contested by publics, by social media, and by experts from other quarters who offer different positions. Science is very clearly political, and politics is more than ever about science. And the other reason for this being a poignant conjuncture is that it is all going more global. This particular year of all, we're not only seeing a whole set of new structures for science advice being put in place, chief science advisors in the European Union, as we'll hear about later from Anne Glover in her lecture, but also some changes in those roles within the UK, and discussion about whether chief science advisor roles should be put in place globally. But also moments when the world is being called upon to bring science to bear on some really key global policy challenges around sustainability, post-Rio +20, the discussions around the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as other kinds of global challenges around climate, around environment, around food and other things. Okay, given all of this, global sustainability and development challenges, I think nobody would doubt that they're going to need science and they're going to need best available evidence to help us tackle these for all sorts of reasons, to begin to evaluate impacts, to evaluate possible options and pathways for decision making, and to measure progress. But there are some really major questions about what best is. What kinds of evidence are we looking at? What are the roles of evidence, particularly in a context where these issues are beset with uncertainty, with complexity, and often with very different points of view about what matters to whom and why? Who are the experts? How should they engage? And how do and should science, policy processes, and politics interact? All of that matters because I think we need to build and maintain processes of decision-making and engagement that are not only robust, but are also open and accountable. But there are really major questions about how we go about doing that, and particularly how we do that in a world that is global, beset with global and local challenges, with differences across national boundaries and major contrasts of view across sectors, across disciplines, and across priorities around ways of life and ways of being. So that's what we're all here for. We've called it credibility across cultures, taking cultures in that broadest sense of ways of knowing, ways of doing, ways of thinking, whether they're disciplines, sectors, scientists and policymakers, people in different parts of the world. How can greater credibility and trust in order to move forward together be established? And This is the kind of question that in different ways has been preoccupying researchers and their partners at the STEPS Centre. And the two institutions that make up the STEPS Centre here in Sussex, the Institute of Development Studies and SPRU, Science and Technology Policy Research, for a number of years, really since the STEPS Centre first began in 2006. But together with our partners around the world, we've really reached a point where we feel the time is right to kind of upscale the debate a bit, take it more public and begin to take it more global. And that's why we've invited all of you here and why we're so pleased that you've all come to join us. So given this key set of global moments, we're looking forward to what I hope will be a really exciting set of debates over the next couple of days, which will help us all move forward in this really rather key set of tasks.